Hello and welcome. My name is Sin and today we're going to be doing a tutorial on the basics of Applied Energistics 2 or AE2 as it's commonly referred to. I'm not going to be using sort of a JEI to go through the recipes because if you have JEI you can go through that yourself, and if you don't use JEI feel free to look at the wikis, but I don't think it really adds anything to this video. So I guess the most basic fundamentals of an AE2 system, and I guess where to start, is you need some sort of storage and some way to interact with that storage. I have an ME terminal here. This ME terminal, when you click on it, it's blanked out. It's not working just yet. Whereas if I click on the chest, it does have something in it. It has an ME storage cell, the smallest one you can get, and that storage cell has something in it. It has 16 bytes used and one type used. Now, in order for an ME system to work, you need to connect it to power. I've got my energy acceptor connected to a creative cell just for ease of this video, but if in your base you need to connect it up to however you power your base, conduits through a regenerator, however it works. But you would have seen there that the ME chest, the grid sort of came on the top, as well as the drive light lit up, and the ME terminal as well lit up. So now when we click on this ME terminal, you can see that there is now silicon there, and I can take that out of the system. So I've now retrieved something from the system, and I can have a look at this ME chest, and in this ME chest you can see the ME storage cell no longer has any bytes used and no types. Those types relate to how many unique items can be in a storage cell, and the bytes relate to how much space there is in that cell for items. So if I go back and I put the silicon back in, you'll notice that when I click on this chest and look at the storage cell, those 16 bytes are used again, and that one type is used. Now these two could be filled up separately, so you could put more than 60, you could try to put more than 63 types in and the system wouldn't allow you, or you could run out of space. So just be mindful that you're using enough cells or big enough cells to hold everything you need in your system. Now, this is a very fundamental and basic system: storage and retrieval and depositing into your system. Great. But let's say you wanted to have another terminal on the other side of a room or other side of the base. Let's connect that up. So as you can see here, this terminal is lit up, and so has this drive. And we are now using 4 channels. So each component on the network will use a channel. Now we've got one drive, 2 terminals, and a chest, as well as the energy acceptor. That's 5 items. But the energy acceptor doesn't require a channel, so we can ignore that for now, but it does need to be connected. So if we have a look here, so the smart cable tells us how many channels, whereas the glass cable does transmit up to 8 channels, but it doesn't tell us. So for my benefit, I always use smart cables because I like to know, but you could get away with using glass cables without any problems. Now, I've introduced a ME drive to the network, and in this ME drive I've got another ME storage cell which is holding 16 bytes and another type. One benefit of an ME drive is you can increase your storage capacity by 10-fold because there is room for 10 ME storage cells. Now if we have a look at the ME terminal, you can see that I have the original silicon that I had from the ME chest, and I have a new stack of infinity blocks, and that's what's held in this ME drive. So that's great. So I can now access everything, and if I have a look in this terminal just to show you, I now have that silicon as well as those infinity blocks. So now I have a system that's talking to itself. I can access both storages from either terminal as I like, which is great. But let's say we want to go even bigger, and I've got another 17 drives over there as well as another terminal. So let's connect that up with a glass cable and everything turned off, which is a bit of a shame, but it's because a basic network could only support 8 channels, and we have more than 8 components on that network. So we know we have power because the ME chest drive light shows that. Nothing works. So how do we do that? Well, we need to smarten up the network, and to do that we use an ME controller. And an ME controller is essentially a brain of an AE2 network. I will go into this in a bit further detail, but for right now, if you connect an ME controller, that allows you to get 32 channels out of each face. And one ME controller has 6 faces because it's a cube, so therefore you can have 32 channels per face. Now for this one, we've pulled out 8 channels. So you can see 4 channels have gone to the left and 4 channels has gone to the right because we're using a glass cable. Now to the left, we've only got 4 devices, so everything's hooked up. If we look to the right, only 3 of these drives are connected, and the terminal would be connected. But let's say we want to go a little bit bigger and we use a dense smart cable here. Now he says we're using 13 of 32 channels, so more than those 8 that we were using. We come over here and have a look, we can see we are using 8 drives and the terminal, but we're not using all of them, and that's because the dense smart cable, while it can transmit 32 channels, it can only, I guess, connect 8 components per connection. So we see here that it's connected to a ME drive, and this ME drive is transmitting the channels to the other ME drives, but it's only finding the first, I guess, the closest 8 drives, which is useful, but I guess for what we want to connect all of these up, and I'm actually going to remove one so we have one less to connect. If I come back here, you can have a look at this. If I connect this up here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck a cable anchor here, and this means that this dense cable won't connect to this ME drive, and it'll allow us to go all the way out here and connect to the second one. So as you can have a look here, we now have all the drives connected, and we will be using about 21 channels when I come here. 21 channels, perfect. So that's great. So we now have an ME system, we've connected it up, we've got an ME controller, so we can use 32 channels per face, and that's really good. Now, for me, I guess this is the very basics of an AE2 network. I'll definitely build on this in further tutorials, but if you like this video and you want to see more, please like and subscribe. But for now, all the best, Sin out.